Hello, my friends. Welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday for Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. This is Jennifer. Welcome back to my sewing room, friends. Thank you so much for being here. I had several people worried about me last week because I mentioned I'd had an allergic reaction, so I was going to just share so that you guys know what it is. So if you don't want to know what I'm talking about, go ahead and skip to the timestamp right here, and then you won't have to hear any of it. So I have a few allergies that are quite severe, and one of them is poison ivy, and I know this. I've known it my whole life. I usually am extremely good about avoiding it, and I have things that I do to mitigate, like exposure. So I wear like gardening gauntlets with gloves. I wear long pants, long sleeves. I have a special wash that I use after I'm done gardening or whatever. And I basically just neglected to do that one time, and one time was enough, and I ended up with a pretty bad breakout on my left arm, and it made it kind of impossible for me to do anything for the last couple of weeks. So I'm now getting back to the point where I can use both hands again. So I just wanted to share that with you, and that will lead me into my first show and tell. I pulled out an old book that I've had forever called Generation T. This is from 2006. I actually followed Megan Nicolay back before she had a book, when it was just a Generation T website. And you guys know that I love upcycling and recycling clothes, and everything in this book you can make without a sewing machine. And I used to do a lot of the stuff in here with my kids. And so I decided to pull this out and make a gauntlet, because you can see her on the cover here wearing these gauntlets. There are instructions in here, super easy. It's just a rectangle. There's no like hemming or anything like that. That is what this is. It is covering the rash that I've had that's been really bad, so that I can do stuff without it being exposed. It's not itchy anymore. It's just super uncomfortable at this point. It usually takes me about a month to heal, and hopefully by next week I won't need this anymore. It was super easy to make though. This is art gallery fabric that I had just a scrap of. And I actually, I used her pattern, but then I cut the hand down because it's meant to go like up here, because I needed my hand to be a little more exposed, so that if I need to wash my fingers or whatever. So yeah, I've been putting it on when I need it, mostly if I'm going out, or maybe if I'm recording a video and I don't want to frighten all of my friends with my horrible rash. I am standing in front of the design wall again because I did finally piece the two blocks that I had already put on the wall, and those are these two. So we have this sampler block, and we have this one, which is my filler block, the ones that go in between all the other blocks. I have put two more on the wall to piece, but I have not sewn them together yet. So far I have 17 blocks made. I have 13 left to make, and I again am not pushing myself and just trying to make a couple a week, just because I want to enjoy the process. It's become a very meditative thing for me to do. I come in here and I turn my iron on and I take my time and I just sew and make a couple of blocks, and then usually that inspires me to do something else in the room. I did do a tiny bit of alteration last week, and this is on something I made that I don't think I ever showed you guys. So I think this was probably close to like Christmas. I made myself a peasant's blouse with long sleeves, and then I just kept passing over it. I kept not wearing it. So I ended up cutting the sleeves off, and I made it into more of a summery blouse. And then I added a tie to the back, which is why it looks so narrow right now. I added a tie to the back because I am very, very high-waisted, and if I don't have some sort of gathering, then it ends up looking just really big on me. So I just added this it's literally just a piece of ribbon. I opened like a 1/2 inch on each side, stitched it into the seam, put some fray blocker on the ends of the ribbon. Done. I think it took me 10 minutes. It took me about the same amount of time to do these, and so I've already worn it a couple times, which is why it's kind of wrinkly, because I just got it out of the laundry. This is the peasant blouse that I made from the tutorial I found on YouTube that has instructions on how to draft your own peasant blouse pattern based on your own measurements. I made it a little bigger, and I shouldn't have, so I think I might go back and just remove a little bit from the side, because you can see this sleeve is pretty wide. for my arm, it's going to be quite wide. And they did bag a little bit. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go back in here and just make the sleeve a little smaller. The one other thing I got up to last week that was something that's been on my list for ages and I just finally got around to it is I pulled out a white sheet that I thrifted sometime at the end of the year last year. I mean, I want to say it was $5 or $6. I don't remember exactly, but it was just a white cotton sheet that I thrifted, a queen size sheet, and I ended up making napkins out of it. I did this on my serger, entirely on my serger, and the way I did that was I set the machine up for a rolled hem. So if you have a serger, you can use a rolled hem. You can do a rolled hem on your regular machine, or you can press and hem all of yours if that's something that you're looking to do. But I set up my rolled hem and then I cut these into 18.5-inch wide strips all the way across the sheet so that I could serge both sides, both really long sides at the same time. And then I turned them and I cut those into 18.5-inch squares. The trick to a rolled edge hem, I have found, these have been washed a couple times and you can see that they're not coming apart or fraying or anything. And I have found that the real trick for that is you want to leave just enough so your blade is cutting some off when you're serging so that you have enough to turn under when it's doing that serged edge on top. If you have a serger and you haven't tried this, look in your manual because this is one of the most useful things you can do on a serger, and it is sort of transformative when you learn how to do it. I ended up making 20 of these and they're already in rotation. I learned to use fabric napkins from my mother-in-law when I was still in college, and I have made our napkins for all of time. I think we had some store-bought ones here and there, but for the most part, I've made them. And these are by far my favorite ones that I've made. I think they look the best. They're nice and crisp and they definitely wash up really well. And I mean, thrifted sheet, very inexpensive fabric. That's going to be it for me. You guys have a wonderful week. Have a crafty week. Hug someone you love. I hope you get some time to craft this week and I will see you next week. Bye.